India is set to form their first proper coalition government at the centre with Narendra Modi at its head. The expectations now turn to the first 100 days of the administration. From defence to semiconductors, big moves are expected from Modi 3.0. Ministries and secretaries have been asked to present their plans for the tenure and the first 100 days as the world awaits India's next move after an electric general election. What will these moves be? What will be the key focus area of Prime Minister Modi's third administration in the first 100 days is exactly what we're going to discuss in the next half an hour. Sumit Peer, senior political commentator, is with me on the broadcast. Jimsa Ibrahim, political analyst, also joins us on the show. Mr. Sharath Kohli, senior economist, joins us on the program as well. Last but not the least, Dr. PSV Rao, consultant surgeon, Manipal Hospital, is also with us on the program. Sumit, the Prime Minister, a number of times has spoken about the fact that he's already figured the 100 days of his third tenure out. In your opinion, what are these 100 days likely to in fact focus on? Will it be continuation of the stellar work that has resulted in India's upward trajectory for the last 10 years likely to continue? Or do you think there are some serious decisions that will also be made just in the first 100 days? Are we talking UCC? Are we talking about other initiatives that the government has spoken about? Is POK also something that this government is ready to look at in the first 100 days? Your opinion, Sumit Peer.
Vinay, thank you for having me on your show. Only there's one thing certain with Mr. Modi is uncertainty. Honestly, it's very difficult for anybody to read his mind and to think what he's up to. But what I know, what the mood is, what the grapevine talk is that the reforms and what are the projections Mr. Modi has been promising are going to continue. Because you have to draw your hints from the time or from the date, that is yesterday when he say that last piche ke 10 saal to trailer the. He is mess and he said it's not a chunavi punch, chunavi wadani, I really mean it. So I believe UCC, One Nation, One Election, announcement in the defense, semiconductor, economic push, Atmanirbharta, we have Gaganyaan on the cards. There are so many economic reforms which we are talking about. They will all continue. They will be unabated. There will be no change in the stance. I think if you talk of Prime Minister Modi, the blueprint is already in his mind. So after the ministries and all are decided, so they will be giving their inputs and all. Based on that, we have to continue. As a country, we have to look for $5 trillion economy. We have to be Atmanirbhar in defense. We have to become one of the biggest defense exporters. Our reforms and our infrastructure push has to continue on. We have to keep on dominating the technology front. Our fintech market, which is doing fantastically well, which is out of every 5 transactions in India digital, total around more than 46% of the global transactions happen digitally in India. That move has to continue. So our issue on hydrocarbons, Mineral Alliance, IMAC, all these things are continuing. The key reforms are, One Nation, One Election, Uniform Civil Code. Then we are talking about the economic initiatives which the Prime Minister Modi is planning. Then we also believe there will be something on the internal security of the country, because I believe the time has come now that we need a separate ministry for internal security, which can be under Home Ministry or which can be independent ministry or over and above Home Ministry. So internal security ministry has to be set in, because there are a lot of things which have gone wrong. And there is a lot of crackdown which needs to come on those fake news peddlers, the people who have been running malicious propaganda, the people from foreign countries who have been involved in the election and are trending narratives and trying to build those deepfake videos and trying to run all kinds of canards. The constitution is going to be changed, reservations are going to be taken. Now we expect action against all these people, because they have been misleading the country and they have been trying to divide the Hindu community as such. So these all people need to be taken to task. And let's not forget, Vinny, there has been international interference in the elections. You talk about that Israeli-based company, you talk of Chinese influence, you talk of American influence. There are a lot of players who have been influencing our election. And when we look through the election process, almost all the Western media had lost any other news. They were just pointing their guns on Prime Minister Modi and BJP. So all those things have to be settled, because now it's Prime Minister Modi. It's Modi Sarkar. It's Modi 3.0. For 5 years, it is going to continue. But what I expect as a voter of BJP is that I want first few days or first 100 days of hardcore action. We want to set all these wrongs right. And we have to also look at the structural reforms in the organization, which are also required, because we have Maharashtra election coming up. We have many more elections which are on the card. So is organization ready for that? Do some people need to be relieved from their duties? Like for Fadnavis, he opted that he wants to go to the ground and make the Sangathan. So all these things have to be taken on a priority. Then we have a couple of elections coming out, so we have to be prepared for that. There are a few lessons which we learned from UP. There are things which UP has taught us, but they have to be implemented on the ground. And very soon, the organization has to be up and running. Economy, technology, Atmanirbharta, and defense. They are the four priorities we need, and they will continue to be so. Let's not lose track on semiconductors. Let's not lose track on when are we going to have our first semiconductor chips, that is 2026. So all those things remain a priority. And then structural reforms like UCC, one nation, one election, then we are talking of police reforms. We will be even talking of judicial reforms. Those all things have to happen. It's Modi ji has a style of functioning. He's not a person who can be towed on. He's not a person who can be, you can push him to a corner. He will not talk of alliance dharma. He will not talk of coalition dharma. He's not the person. All the people must know the tallest leader and the biggest mandate in the country is with Modi ji. And you have to work with him if you want to be a part of this government. And obviously, anybody who's a part of this government will get their benefits. But style, plan, vision will be of Modi ji. You will give your own contributions. They will be well taken. But you cannot influence him. You cannot change him. You cannot manipulate him. You cannot twist his arm and get things done. It is Narendra Modi 3.0. It's not Manmohan Singh, unfortunately.
All right. Okay.
So people think it's Manmohan Singh. It's not going to go that way.
All right. Good point, Sumit. Dr. Sharad Kohli also with us on the program. Dr. Kohli, first 100 days of Modi 3.0. In your expectations, what exactly is likely to be introduced? What could change? And what could be manifested from the past?
I think, Vineet, for me, I think the agenda that was going on before the elections is going to continue, first of all. This is just a stopover. It's Modi 3.0. There's no change in the mindset. A lot of people have apprehensions that the coalition government, may pull the legs here and there. But I really don't think there is any stopping as far as Prime Minister Modi is concerned. I agree with what Sumit was saying. Prime Minister Modi has got its own way of functioning, his own way. He wants to move forward, and he's a man in a hurry. Rightly so. This country need not waste any time. We wasted centuries and centuries in the past. I think finally somebody is there who believes in quick decision making. So if you ask me to list down a few things, I think crackdown on corruption is on top of my list. And because the top level of the government was very honest, very diligent, very credible. But as we go to the lower rung of the government, we still see some traces, some noises of corruption being heard. I think he's going to take a very comprehensive step on corruption from bottom up approach. That's what I feel. Then, another very interesting point, Vineet, the 25 crore people who have come out of multidimensional poverty index. Now, there are two things which are going to happen. One, he's going to push more people up that ladder. That, this is not the end of poverty in the country. So he would want more people to move. Second, and more important, that these 25 crore people are very vulnerable as of now. When you step out of that Lakshman Rekha, you cross that line, there is a very, very big chance that if they are not looked after, they can slip back into that vicious circle. So I'm sure he's going to take steps to make sure that the people who move from poverty to lower middle class, that's how the rung is. These people will further be pushed towards the middle class. I think that will further strengthen the size of middle class. So on the MPI, the Multidimensional Poverty Index, these two things I'm expecting to happen. Then I think the infrastructure push, which has been the USP of this government, that is going to be propelled further. There were a lot of projects, Vineet, which were stuck because of the MCC, the Model Code of Conduct over the last 3-4 months. Things were stalled. Some policy decisions were pending. I'm sure those files are going to be reopened. The Gati Shakti route is again going to be taken. And you will find that infrastructure projects, they get further boost. The government is flush with, the fiscal position is very healthy. 211,000 crores of dividends from RBI has further improved the fiscal deficit. So the government is going to move forward on that agenda. Then I feel big push on manufacturing would also be there, Vineet, because in China, I'm in touch with a lot of companies in Shanghai, Beijing, Guangdong, and other places, directly or indirectly. There is the most hot discussion in the boardrooms in China is to move out of China. And it's a closed door discussion. There are a lot of companies which are knocking the doors. They are waiting for the color of the carpet which has to be red. So I think that red carpet will happen when the big manufacturing push happens, ease of doing business, land reforms, labor reforms. I think that manufacturing push will be seen in 100 days itself, because I think government must be getting the feelers that this is the time to get hold and capture that manufacturing wave, which is now happening away from China. Then a problem which is attached to this is skill development. Because skill development, there are a lot of companies, dozens of companies I know, Vineet, who are unable to find skilled people, skilled workers. I think skill development will get a big push. I'm also looking at education-related reforms, although a lot has been done on education, but I feel there is more to be done on education, where education becomes job-oriented, like America. You know, you step out of the college and you're ready for the job. Here in our country, somebody does a BA, BCom, BSc, and so, you know, those old type courses, and they say, ab aage kya karoge? After 15, 18 years of study, you ask a child, ki ab aage kya karo? So I feel education reforms are still needed. Then I think we have a budget coming. Why are we forgetting in 100 days? There is a big budget coming. It's going to be a full-fledged budget. So this budget itself, people are expecting a lot, because I think people are talking of coalition government. I think they feel that this budget could be different. This could be a lok lubhavan or populist budget or whatever. I think I'm anticipating some tax-related reforms and some focus on the middle class in this budget. So that is, for me, that is also in top of the agenda as far as 100-day agenda. Then I think further boost on export is also going to be there. You could see road shows happening across the world where government will try and push exports. We are at an all-time high of forex reserves of $651 billion. You know, I think this is the time to build this reserve and take it to the next level at a point where we need not be worried about imports for a long, long time. Then I think dependence on China, they'll be focused to reduce dependence on China, because the Chinese mischief on the borders, we keep hearing about them more often than not. So I think government will try and see that this $100 billion plus of, close to $100 billion plus of deficit, that trade deficit that we have, that should be cut down. So I'm seeing a big push on that Atmanirbhar Bharat thing, which is going to happen. My list is very long. I can see Mr. Rao and a couple of others.
Yeah, let's also get in Jimsa into this. Jimsa, what is your list going to look like? What is the expectation from the government in the first 100 days? And Dr. Kohli brought out a very important facet, that the budget is going to be a big opportunity. That this government, you know, if you consider their past and history, is not going to forego or take lightly. It is going to be something, it's going to be lok lubhavan.
All right. So good evening to you, Vineet. Good evening to my co-panelists and, of course, to all the audience. I have a long list to address. My hands are full. At the risk of not wading into confirmation bias, I'd like to stick to just 2 pointers here, which I think would be what the NDA 3 will be primarily handling or looking into, at least in the first 100 days. The first being the finance sector. Ministry of Finance might take a call or two that are important. You had very active discussions regarding inflation in the last couple of months. You can also argue that the opposition did well to hammer in that, especially in Uttar Pradesh. So this is definitely going to be addressed. How, I might not be the right person to tell you, but we are looking forward to something happening in the finance ministry. That's one. Two, the rural districts, especially when it comes to agriculture. That is something that can be possibly fixed by the Modi government, especially since they are seen as anti-agrarian. So the list that I have is rather short. Two things that I really think that the Modi government would address in the first 100 days. One, the finance, and two, agriculture. And regarding the budget, I doubt whether we are in for something big bang, like Dr. Sharad Kohli had just mentioned a while ago. There is going to be, whether we agree or not, compulsions from the coalition government. No matter how strong man a leader seems to portray himself, there are going to be compulsions. How long or how far the Modi government can fight these compulsions is a thing we would do well to sit and watch.
All right, Dr. Rao, there are going to be compulsions for this government. It's the first time they're, working as a coalition government. But is that going to deter them from following the trajectory or the promises or even the, aspirations that they've had?
The panelists and all viewers, I believe, and I have practiced this all my life, and I have seen Modi ji also does the same thing. That is, every obstruction is taken as an opportunity to improve further. Obstructions are not seen as an obstruction. They are seen as an opportunity to try something else. So if he, for the first time, has to manage a coalition, for all you know, he may look at it at the positive side and say, I have got now more resources more human resources which I can use in my ministry. So as far as the target is concerned, now you are dealing with 1.4 billion people and you're talking about population, the benefit from this large population. But what do you need to secure? You need to provide food security, you need to provide employment, and you need to provide financial security. Now, he has in his first term laid the basis for financial security by digitalizing a lot of things and bringing in GST, etc., so that the financial health of the nation is also taken care of, and there is improvement in the financial status of the public, and also for direct payment towards the beneficiaries. So this is the financial security, and like Professor Sharat Kohli said, and the other panelists said, the focus will be now on, through the budget, what all major further reforms he can do. And as we have seen, his attempts at farm reform, labor reforms, and land reforms all got stalled in his earlier attempts because of lack of majority in the Rajya Sabha. So he, I'm sure, will now try to, before there is any more confusion, try to push these things, because they are required to have our economy to grow to that 5 trillion that he is trying to push. And so that as far as the employment and security is
and
concerned,
rural distress as well. Jim's also mentioned there is ample rural distress, according to him.
I said 2 days back on NewsX, first of all, he has to take care of the people who are in distress because of the cyclone and because of the heat wave. After that, he has to, since all the institutions, the higher education institutions are all starting their term now, he will have to look into how to make people employable. Because the common complaint of all industries, including the health industry, is that these people are not employable. And as I have said before, I would suggest that we adopt a foreign model where a major part of this higher education is managed by the industry rather than by the universities, because they tend to have a theoretical people who are theoretically strong but practically weak. And even our surgical and medical higher education in Commonwealth countries and in US is managed by the association, just like the chartered accountants are managed by the association here in India.
Very rightly said, sir. But, also let's understand, Sumit Peer, that, Jimsa has brought up an important point that, we are, of course, talking about the first 100 days, but, the allies of this government will definitely not sit, all of these intentions out. They would want a big pie of all these decisions. And how is that likely to impact the decision making of the Modi government? And you rightly said, even Dr. Kohli also emphasized that it was the decision making, the swiftness of the decision making that has separated this government from all the previous one. Is that going to be hindered?
Vineet, you have to know with the person you are dealing with. There's a way of working with, for example, Israelis is completely different from Americans, Germans to, British people. There's a completely different way of working with them. And if you go to Malaysia, this is quite laid back. I'm not trying to criticize anybody, But these people have to all know you are dealing with Modi. Huh? Modi is a phenomenon. He is the tallest global leader. He has the approval ratings higher than Joe Biden. You have to know whom you are dealing with. You might have 12 seats, you might have 14 seats. So as per your contribution to the government, you will have that say in the government. But if you want to start influencing the foreign policy, if you want to influence the financial policies, if you want to have the home ministry, well, that is not going to come. So Modi ji is going to retain all the ministries with himself, and including the cabinet committee of security, which will be with himself. Yeah, there are some peripheral ministries. I'm not saying no ministries less important than other, but there are some peripheral ministries which will be given. It won't be like Manmohan Singh. Okay, DMK will get telecom. Sharad Pawar will get agriculture. कि हमें ही मिलेगा. You can't come and dictate those terms to him. So you will get your due course of share, but there will be a lot of things which will be no-go policy, because beneath 240 seats are still with Modi ji. 241 to 42 seats are still with Modi ji. Even people in the coalition have to respect this. I can't have 12 seats and I can start dictating terms to you. If you are Modi and I come with 12 seats and say, hey, Modi ji, ab zara baith ke foreign policy ki baat karte. Well, I will not be entertained. But this is none of your business. You have to hit as per your size. That is the message which will go loud and clear. And yesterday, Modi ji exactly mentioned that when he addressed the leaders in the Central Hall. He made his intentions very clear. And certain aspects you will have, say, like Janata Dal said that we might look into Agniveer. And Janata JDU said, okay, we are okay for the Uniform Civil Code, but everybody needs to build a consensus. So, but when you are joining NDA, when you are going along with NDA, it is Modi ji's NDA. Even the NDA, whatever mandate he has got an NDA later is because of Modi. Let's not forget that. Whatever seats Nitish Babu got is because he was fighting with Modi ji. Modi ji campaigned for him. Whatever seats Naidu ji got is because of Modi ji, because Modi ji again campaigned for Naidu ji. But let's not forget, it is, though Congress might want it or the Indies might want it as a make or break alliance, but these leaders, Naidu ji and Nitish Babu, they are sane politicians, they are seasoned politicians. They know what their Lakshman Rekha is going to be beneath. And this, if there was such a rural distress problem, how did you sweep MP? MP produces the largest wheat in the whole of India. Himachal, Uttaranchal, there are so many states which have swept. So it is not a rural distress. There are some problems which we have discussed at numerous times. In UP, there were some issues which need to be ironed out. The Sangathan needs to be ironed out. There are some challenges there for sure. There are some challenges in West Bengal which need to be addressed. But to say, there's a problem in India, it's a rural distress. If there is a country in rural distress, Vineet ji, how are you able to contain, produce and control 44% of the world's food grain? How did you have the highest crop? How is everything at 2.5 times the MSP when Modi ji came? And how come highest procurement and highest disbursement happened last time if there's an agrarian distress? Agrarian distress is where the production is gone. There's nothing, you're falling short. You are controlling 40% of the food grain of the world and you're saying we are in agrarian distress. Yes, improvement is a present continuous thing. I'm not denying that. But to say that rather than we have to present continuously improve, we are saying we are in agrarian distress, that is not the correct term, Vineet. We are, and in our Godam, aaj ek main FCI ki baat karu, we have for 21 months of food grain is stored in our godowns today, and when we talk. So what are we talking about? There's no distress in the country.
Let me quickly also take a response from Dr. Kohli on this. We are a little short on time. Dr. Kohli, does this combination currently also have any impact on the decision making that you also enunciated just a few minutes ago?
I think the mode of governance will have to slightly be tweaked. Obviously, I mean you have to take your partners in confidence, despite the fact whatever number of seats they have. But I think a consensual approach would have to be taken. But there's one thing I would like to add, that the two big partners, the TDP and the JDU, so far their demands have been more focused on their own regions, Bihar, Andhra Pradesh. So far they have not shown intentions of meddling with the center's decisions, which Modi ji is in a best position to take. So they have not so far. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I think they are more concerned, getting special status here, more allocations for Andhra Pradesh. We want to make Amravati. Bihar, wants to have a balanced regional development, to prevent migration out of the state. So I think as of now, they are more focused on their respective states.
All right.
I think time will tell that whether they want, how much role do they want in the national level decisions. I think we'll have to wait for the time, but I think consensual approach is indispensable.
All right.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.